I am Kesten Rono, and you're here again for day 48 of our exploration of A Course in Miracles. Thank you for being here. Let's take a breath together. Breathe all your air out. Pull your belly button into your spine. Feel empty for a moment, craving a breath. Big breath in, relaxed. Hold it. A little more. Hold it. One more sip. Hold it. Belly button in. Exhale, relaxed. Reminding ourselves that yesterday we learned that God is the strength in which we trust, that we can do this. We can allow ourselves to ask questions and receive answers. There is no sacrifice here, that vision may only bless. Let's move forward with aligning our vision with that of the Holy Spirit, the ability to delineate between our illusions that we have been creating and the perfection that God has created, which includes you, if you are willing to view life from the perspective of your spirit, whatever your consciousness is, whatever is connected to you and your body, possibly building everything around you. That you are a mind connected to God's mind, that you are made in His image, that you are holy, that you are perfect, that you know perfect peace and perfect safety and freedom from worry, that you are invulnerable. How could that be if it doesn't feel we are invulnerable in the flesh? If we have people attempting all manner of radical, possibly dark ways of extending their life forever, to extend your life in darkness in an illusion, to not participate in how you were born and feeding the earth at the end of a righteous life. I suppose we are all allowed to choose our experiences, but if we are aligning ourselves, especially consciously, knowing better, we imagine, although maybe we are still just doing our best, we are plagued, inundated by illusions, seeing in darkness, accepting darkness, rather than assuming that it is light. We may be lost, but we know a miracle is never lost. That was day 45. A miracle is never lost. And you are a miracle. And everyone you're seeing is a miracle. And these are the subjects for whom we want to be able to offer full forgiveness. Why do we want to offer full forgiveness? Because forgiveness is the tool that allows us to wake up, to find revelation, to see light, to feel light, to feel levity, to levitate. Whether we are moving down into ourselves or up, transcending our body, we imagine, visually, maybe it's not a big deal. But somewhere within us, whatever we are, is some body of light, limitless, formless, infinite. The idea that our thoughts are God's thoughts and God's thoughts are our thoughts because our minds are connected innately, and that these thoughts never leave their source. Well, if God is my source and I am a miracle, then my source is love. God is love. That these thoughts exist in the unconditional love of whatever that is. And there is no need to destroy them. That they are all part of knowledge and experience. And if we are able to trace this idea of thoughts, we can logically arrive at the idea that we have original thoughts with God. That there is some foundation, this book calls with a capital F, foundation. We are on a path to denying our body identification, not because we do not love our bodies, not because we do not want to take care of our bodies and use them for expression here, even if this is imaginary. What a gift to play. But we are denying our body identification so we may make space for an idea, a whole new system, a way of being and seeing that we have never known before, that we must imagine outside of our current system, something entirely transcending any kind of way that we have thought that we could have been or someone has introduced us to before. But here we are. Here you are, imbued with God's strength. You can do this. We are affirming our spirit identification, that there is some part of us which must be invulnerable. There is some part of us which could be connected to God. There is some part of us which may have the opportunity to naturally understand that what we are experiencing down here, up here, whatever, is an illusion in this physical sense. Wouldn't it be exciting if everything here was an illusion, but it still felt real, what we call real? My dog is hunting in the snow. That life feels real. How exciting. But how could it be that everything around us is an illusion that we are making up, but also real? Could it be possible that illusions don't have to be deceitful, that this could be based on love itself? How could that be possible? I would imagine that it must be an association with the Spirit, bringing this into our center awareness and the opportunity to communicate with God directly as we are innately connected, that this barrier has been removed, which feels physical, and we keep wondering what God looks like. Was he only a man of flesh? In order for us to believe that we are holy and sinless, we must allow ourselves to see beyond some idea of our past, however we have been treated or treated, that we can forgive others and forgive ourselves, that this is the tool of the real, as we call it, the physical, of time and space. How do we do that? That there must be some way of seeing the world through our holiness. If we are perfect creators, divine to perceive and see, for God, with God, sharing with God, that he is the realm of knowledge and he has created us and he has given us the opportunity of imagination, that we have created a world where I can be in the trees, with the snow, with my dog, that the sun can dance across, that all these trees can be dusted. I can feel cold. Exciting. I think that this is the lens through which we can imagine all of this is possible, and this creates the justification for the miracle and underscores day one, where we learn that the miracle as such does not matter. How could it not matter? It's a course in miracles. That this is a stepping stone towards recognizing a new way of being, a totally new perspective, a totally righteous perception, aligning some true vision that is not our eyes, something about how else we must be able to see beyond our senses, imagining a world that we possibly are imagining back. And that world, from the spirit perspective, would naturally understand that there are differences between what is untrue and what is true, what is love and what is fear. But it can create anything, and it has created us to be able to believe in anything. And this book is suggesting that we have light imbued in us, but we cannot create light, that we can only create darkness and call it light. That alone right there would just feel wrong. It would feel like an untruth. So let's move forward with an open mind, with appreciation and with love, with curiosity. How could we come closer to more abundance, truth, and love? What would be the measuring tool to see life differently here? How could we understand what a miracle is? How could we crave to understand what a miracle is? How could we believe that it is a tool that we do not even need to harness? A miracle, something greater than a magician. A miracle, what any one of us would call something we cannot explain. That alone is just a stepping stone towards living in perfect peace, perfect safety, freedom from worry, some alignment with God, an innate understanding that there is nothing that we can do in this world to give us more value than what we have in the light, the formless, limitless light, love, and life. So, may we take the lid off our minds and not have our heads welded shut. Principle 48. The miracle is the only device at your immediate disposal for controlling time. Only revelation transcends it, having nothing to do with time at all. Okay, time. We reviewed time yesterday. Yesterday read, the miracle is a learning device that lessens the need for time. I am out of time. That takes time. I need to make time. What if we could lessen the need for time? What would that mean? Wouldn't it erase any idea of being hurried? Wouldn't that allow for infinite possibility of ease? Can you feel the gradient opening? The spectrum. What if we had less of a need for time? Maybe that's something that we've tried to pull at, but it's impossible, right? That time is constant, forever, unchangeable. It's certainly a curiosity about bending space and time, transcending space and time. Still on lesson 47 from yesterday, the miracle establishes an out-of-pattern time interval, not under the usual laws of time. That there are laws of time. It takes time to move across space here. That is a beauty of the physical and a challenge of the physical, however you wish to see it. But isn't it wonderful that we can slow down and experience the unfolding of love? And the trade-off is that we may slow down and experience pain. What if there was a way that we could release some of our pain by releasing some of the binding we have to the illusions of the past? Not that they did not happen, so to speak, but that we are assigning our being and investing our life into the past rather than the present. Wouldn't it be wonderful to take our life savings and its value, its precious value, and apply it towards ideas to allow them to grow that would give us more love back, more abundance back, more truth back? And if we were so full of these things by simply applying our mind to them, that there are no neutral things because there are no neutral thoughts, wouldn't we feel invited to give them away if they were infinite for us? An opposite idea of today's climate where it appears that any idea of more abundant energy or forms of money or healthier food or root cause medicine, freer education, true education about the real, that these things feel stifled somehow. May we wake up and make a change and build in a new system for the future rather than taking from it for feelings of today. The miracle is timeless. Okay, today's lesson again, the miracle, which is timeless, which establishes an out-of-pattern time interval, which is not under the usual laws of time. That is a learning device that lessens the need for time. So the miracle is the only device at your immediate disposal for controlling time. Whoa, we're being invited to control time. The miracle is the only device to do so. Only revelation transcends it, having nothing to do with time at all. So there is an idea that has nothing to do with time. We could at least imagine it. We could at least allow our imagination to have the idea of it, where there is no need for time. What would that mean? That we are somewhere that is timeless. That is the miracle. And the miracle is the tool of this physical space. When we transcend that idea and affirm this spirit identity, I believe, is what this is saying, that we enter into a timeless world. And therefore the miracle, even though it is so special, allowing us to control time, being timeless, having nothing to do with time, the miracle, so special, becomes meaningless from the perspective of the Spirit. In direct communication with God, we are restored back to an idea or our foundation, the idea, the thoughts we have innately been sharing with God, which we believe are so lost, but we are reminded no miracle is ever lost, that God is in all places, at all times, with full immersion in every aspect of any of those things. That would include us. If we can just shift our perspective, we can realize that it would take no effort to understand that down here, or wherever we are, is beautiful. An opportunity to reawaken, to move away from our egoic fears and enter into heaven relative to a hell of illusions, if that is all we are seeing. Would you not want perfect peace and perfect safety and freedom from worry? Would you like to be unbound from the laws of time? Would you at least like to play with that idea, if it doesn't feel comfortable yet? The miracle is the only device at your immediate disposal for controlling time. Only revelation transcends it, having nothing to do with time at all, to your timelessness. Lesson 48. I already love this, and it's short. You might love it too. There is nothing to fear. I will enjoy writing that today as the caption for these videos. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. I've heard the Bible has 365 references, just like we have 365 lessons, to do not fear, or some allusion to that idea. I haven't verified it. I don't care. It's a beautiful idea to consider at all. And if it's true, that's wonderful. But this is the book we are studying now. And lesson 48, there is nothing to fear. How could there be nothing to fear? We simply remember yesterday, God is the strength in which I trust. Today, we will try to reach past your own weakness to the source of real strength. That's what we were doing yesterday. God is your safety in every circumstance. His voice speaks for him in all situations and in every aspect of all situations, telling you exactly what to do to call upon his strength and his protection. There are no exceptions because God has no exceptions. We were slipping past our inadequacies. The strength of God in us is successful in all things. The realm of knowledge. The realm of knowledge. If we could know all things, and we need not a desire to have to know all things, we are not entering into miracles for conscious control. We are entering into a process which is allowing us to wake up to a whole new process. But if we had knowledge of all things, what could catch us off guard? Could we enter into knowledge of all things while still experiencing excitement? Love? That would be amazing. If we knew everything, exactly how it was going to work out, there would be no surprises. Surprises are surprising, and you could charge those positive or negative. There are no neutral things because there are no neutral thoughts. I like surprises. The idea that we can release the timing and the expectation of how something would work out. I suppose this practice that I've been thumbing at, releasing timing and expectation, is somehow related to the miracle, transcending an idea of time entirely, throwing it to the wind, falling more in love with excitement. Perhaps we can have both. If we knew everything, and if we were still allowed to have surprises just for fun to make us laugh, because we want to be happy. But if we knew in the back of our mind that, of course, this works out, of course, there's a way through, I'm divinely connected to God, we would imagine that there is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. Please say it with me. There is nothing to fear. Again, there is nothing to fear. Will you exclaim it? There is nothing to fear. Wouldn't that be exciting? Fear is something that has been driving us, at least in some small aspect, and I hope you would be able to admit that. Unless you already feel perfect peace, then please, thank you for leading the way. Find me, show me. I'm curious. I would love a mentor. Someone to laugh with, that we're on the same path. Hopefully that's you here with me right now. May we admit that there is nothing to fear, or may we admit that the perspective we would like to assume would allow us to understand innately, without question, wholly, through our forgiveness, waking up to love, that there is nothing to fear. We are strengthened by God and our connection to God, and what could He be afraid of if He made everything? The idea for today simply states a fact. A fact. There is nothing to fear. It is not a fact to those who believe in illusions, but illusions are not facts. In truth, there is nothing to fear. Let's say that a different way. There is nothing to fear in truth. It is very easy to recognize this, but it is very difficult to recognize it for those who want illusions to be true. Remember, if you cannot forgive, and you cannot forgive fully, wholly, and really mean it, that you would allow this person to exist, you have said it's okay, and you've relieved yourself of an idea of pain that you've been holding on to. Offering them the same opportunity. That is love. If you cannot do that, and we could start small, but if you cannot do that, if I cannot do that, we are bound to those ideas. We are bound to continue to rediscover more upsets, unable to find whatever the root cause is. It doesn't matter what the cause was. The root cause for our happiness and our ability to feel love and life again is going to be our ability to forgive, to let go. Remember, recognize how we feel, okay? I feel X way. I know that's hard for a lot of us to say, but hard is all relative again. But just feel. It doesn't matter if you cry or shake or scream or laugh. Feel. Let it go. How do we let it go? First, we remember there is nothing to fear. We are only going to discover ourselves on the other side of this. Why does it need to be so scary that if we hold on to an old idea that is causing us dis-ease, why does it need to be so scary for us to let it go? Just because we've normalized ourselves to it, our own Stockholm syndrome. We do not need to abuse ourselves. We can forgive ourselves and forgive those who have traumatized us. We can forgive ourselves for continuing to traumatize ourselves. Come on, say hi. Feel, let it go, fully, wholly, and then allow whatever is there just to be noticed. Remember, we are approaching this with love, appreciation, and an open mind. If you choose to be bound to your illusions, You are bound to continue to discover more pain. May you forgive them. And may you recognize that there is nothing to fear, that that is a fact, rather than some pie in the sky idea that you will not give allegiance to. It is very easy to recognize this, but it is very difficult to recognize it for those who want illusions to be true. How could it be possible that it is easy and difficult? Maybe you decide. Today's practice periods will be very short. Okay, thank you. Very simple and very frequent. Okay, thank you. Merely repeat the idea as often as possible. You can use it with your eyes open at any time and in any situation. It is strongly recommended, however, that you take a minute or so whenever possible to close your eyes and repeat the idea slowly to yourself several times. There is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. There is simply nothing to fear. This is a fact in truth, and it is very easy to see. There is nothing to fear. It is particularly important that you use the idea immediately should anything disturb your peace of mind. It is so beautiful out here. You can't see the sun on the trees. Okay, I imagine I'm caught out here in the cold overnight. There is nothing to fear. The presence of fear is a sure sign that you are trusting in your own strength. God is the strength in which I trust. The presence of fear is a sure sign that you are trusting in your own strength. If we are not trusting in God's strength, we are trusting in our own. We are investing in illusions. We think we know best. Forget forgiving. That person wronged me, and I know best. Aha, I figured out some secret. Here's a way that I can give myself relative power. It causes a lack. Maybe I'm aware of it, and maybe I am not aware of it. Just as we are not aware of all the ways that miracles are working, that they are not always visible, that expressions of love are always around us, even if we cannot perceive them. I would imagine we can perceive them. If we are giving our allegiance to our own strength and refusing God's strength, we're just selling this idea short, and we'll never discover it. So be it. We will live in hell until we die, and then hopefully we learn about heaven. But wouldn't it be nice to find heaven on earth? She keeps wanting to play fetch. Up, up, up. Good girl. Okay, go on. The presence of fear is a sure sign that you are trusting in your own strength. Your allegiance is still to your ego, and so is mine. I'm not seeing light on every object or around its edges yet, but we're trying on ideas. What's so harmful with ideas? There is nothing to fear. This I know through God's strength. I do not need to trick myself into believing that I could know better than that which could perceive all time, all space, the source that could house all thoughts, your thoughts, my thoughts, that would truly need to be infinite, eternal, formless, limitless. I would like to feel that light. May it forever change me. The awareness that there is nothing to fear shows that somewhere in your mind though not necessarily in a place you recognize as yet, you have remembered God and let his strength take the place of your weakness. The instant you are willing to do this, there is indeed nothing to fear. The instant you are willing to do this, our will. Remember, we are waking up to an idea that we have the ability to decipher our illusions from God's perfect creations. And once aligned with God's perfect creations, this is the idea we are exploring, we will be able to create in that truth and truly build. But there is nothing to fear in truth. In truth, there is nothing to fear. Let's read this again. The presence of fear is a sure sign that you are trusting in your own strength. The awareness that there is nothing to fear shows that somewhere in your mind, though not necessarily in a place you recognize as yet, you have remembered God. Remembered, as in he is already here. I mean, you have never left. Your thoughts have been connected to him the entire time, this whole time. There is no need to create something, a new system. The system already exists. Feel how we feel. Let our upsets go. Recognize that they have been tied to fears, and so have we, and discover what is already there to remember God. The awareness that there is nothing to fear shows that somewhere in your mind you have remembered God and let his strength take the place of your weakness. Your weakness, my weakness, is my allegiance to my own strength, my willingness, my unwillingness, I suppose, to forgive, binding myself to this world. Why read this book? Why try any ideas on at all if we are not willing to see life differently? To just simply walk around and say, there is another way of looking at this. Is it so painful to wonder that if we are not feeling well when we go about our day, that there might be another way of considering what's going on, especially if we can allow more time to give us more education, more learning? Why would we limit that idea? Because we believe that however we have felt in the past must be something that we hold tight to guard for the future? Because someone else is telling us how it is. Because the news is demanding that the only way that the world is destroying each other and ourselves, and we must fight. Or are these things a distraction? Could they be a distraction, albeit real? Could they be a distraction from letting us see some of the most basic principles, that we have not had a tool to be able to measure this system, so we cannot see its dysfunction, so we cannot wake up to a new idea? Is there no reason? Sorry, is there a reason? I don't know. What am I trying to say? Why is fear the tool that is used in media? Violence. Why? Wouldn't its constant representation, even if it's fun in a video game, but wouldn't its constant representation give us an idea that we are married to? That it's just natural for us to expect these kind of things to happen? And yes, we may feel love in our home and in our community, whatever it is that we do in our life, but at the end of the day, it doesn't take very much energy, it would seem, to look around and see someone championing championing some cause that is demanding that you go forward and fight rather than you go forward in love. May we go forward in love. May we believe that God's strength and his voice can guide us. May we not be victim to our own illusions. May we realize that just because someone told us that we must be upset about this, that we have to believe it. We would be making the choice to believe it no different than if we were young and we hit a kid in school because they hit us first or they called us a name and we said, they made me do it. I do believe that someone could be so torturous that we could feel we have no other option. But that is where we pull forward the idea of Christ, that he could be tortured, stabbed, nailed to a cross, after dragging it, bleeding, laughed at, mocked, spit on, all by the state, because he told a story incongruent with the idea of fear. That fundamentally, not that we need to lay down our lives and be cavalier about it, but fundamentally, we may know an idea that says, you cannot hurt me. There is nothing to fear, even as fear itself imagines bigger and bigger and bigger ideas and threatens us more and more and more, and threatens our family and threatens a wider and wider ecosystem. That there are people using fear as leverage because it works. It traps minds, but it can only trap minds that are willing to be trapped. And perhaps we all have a breaking point. Perhaps. But there are ideas of stories that allow us to see that maybe, like Christ, even if just a story, but like Christ, we need not actually have that breaking point. We do not need to accept someone's fear. And if it is true and true life, well, what if they talked about us for thousands of years as we still talk about Christ, as people leverage the idea of Christ for more evil? There are no neutral things because there are no neutral thoughts, but it is true that an idea of a man who need not oppress, who can accept the idea that other people feel they must persecute and can ride it all the way because they are divinely, knowingly connected to God, the source, and his knowledge. Because they can see from their spiritual self, and they can see that spirit in others, that they are invulnerable. There is nothing to fear with God's strength. Let the idea of the story, and that people still talk about it, and people live by it, or attempt to, or are fearful of not obeying it, or that people abuse it. Let the idea that it still exists be enough of a proof point that we may wear the idea. We don't need to be as strong necessarily, but we can be. We can be, because we are divinely able to consider that there is a realm in which we are invulnerable, marked by love, not by fear, and that we do not need to give in to the constant messaging that is telling us, you must be fearful, you must attack. We know that that is the ego on overdrive, asking everyone to tear everyone apart in the name of saving yourself. Do you really think you can save yourself by hurting others? Is that what salvation would be? The presence of fear is a sure sign that you are trusting in your own strength. The awareness that there is nothing to fear shows that somewhere in your mind, though not necessarily in a place you recognize as yet, you have remembered God and let his strength take the place of your weakness. The presence of fear is a sure sign that you are trusting your own strength, which is your weakness. The awareness that there is nothing to fear shows that you have remembered God and let his strength take the place of your weakness, which you would call strength. The instant you are willing to do this, there is indeed nothing to fear. May we wake up to our will, our purpose, to realize that everything is an illusion. Not that it does not matter, or I suppose that the illusions do not matter. Not that life does not matter, that life itself is so precious and it matters so much that it may transcend matter. And may we allow it to transcend an idea that is fear in which we have been living because we believe we must protect something as if it could ever be destroyed. That is our association with our bodies only. And that is why we tie ourselves to illusions. May we release these shackles and be unbound through the power of forgiveness. May we feel, may we let go, may we allow others to let go by simply giving them the space and love to do so. I forgive you. I forgive myself. I trust in the strength of God. I'm willing to accept that I do not know better. And I would like to believe that there is such a thing as knowing better, as being able to separate truth from illusion, perfection from my own dark creations. And may I see and feel light. I am Kesten Rono, and I declare that in truth, there is nothing to fear. May you accept this idea, try it on often. Eyes open, eyes closed, repeating it calmly to yourself, recognizing that it is the miracle of this awakening that allows us to set time aside and all of the hurriedness and all of the busy-mindedness and all of the fears and move from dis-ease to ease. See you tomorrow.